Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. In this video I want to talk about window tint. So I recently just tinted the two side windows and back window on my Polaris Ranger here. In this video I want to cover maybe what type of film to look for and some tips and tricks I learned along the way of doing this myself. I'm not really going to get into installation because there's plenty of videos that do that by professionals, and I certainly am not one of those. So first, with film, you can oftentimes buy it locally from auto parts stores. The problem is window film is not all created equal. And in my view on things, my opinion is if I'm going to do it, I prefer to do it right. So I try to find a better quality film. Now with less expensive films, you can run into, adhesive failure, dye failure, thickness. Oftentimes, if you've ever seen a vehicle that has bubbled out window tint, that's oftentimes is an adhesive failure. And then if you see one with blue or purple tint, oftentimes that's a dye issue. So you probably tend to want to try to get a decent quality film. Now the problem that I found with that is, to the average Joe, the kind of home gamer as myself, those types of professional films are not widely available to the consumer, so to speak. You almost need to have a business or be a professional to get a hold of them, from what I found. So being on forums and things, I ran across a company called Express Window Films, and they seem to have a pretty good reputation in the industry, and you're able to buy their film from their website. So that's what I went ahead and ordered. Now this particular film is just classic black. This roll is 30 inches wide, and I bought 25 feet of it. You can buy different widths, and you can also buy different lengths, as well as the percentage of light transfer. So this is 20%. They also offer different types like ceramic and charcoal and whatever, which again, I'm not really going to get into because I'm not a professional and this isn't my forte. So I will say though that this classic black, I did tint the two driver and passenger front windows on my Ford pickup, and it did match the factory tint pretty well. It looks pretty good. So it's just, a black looking tint. It doesn't have any blues or purples in it. It looks nice and clean. So with that out of the way, the next issue is tooling, which I bought a little tool kit off of Amazon. I think it was like 14 or 15 bucks, and it is cheap. They are cheap. They're not made very consistent as far as the straight edge and things like that, but they got me by. I was able to do what I needed to do. You really don't need a whole lot with this. You can probably get by with a Bondo squeegee. I've even seen a guy do it with a credit card. However, he was a professional. So take that at what it's worth. One thing I will say is I did the two side windows on the Ranger and my truck using what they call the two-stage method, meaning I did not pull door panels or pull anything apart or take the glass out or anything like that. I left everything how it is. I actually fit the film. I cut it, the pattern on the outside of the window, and then I applied it to the inside of the window once I had the pattern cut from the outside of the window. So in doing that, some guys will go ahead and cut right along the seams. I found it easier to use a silver Sharpie and mark that out, and then I overcut that Sharpie mark by about 1/8 inch to make sure that my seams tucked into the window trim and you didn't see the film edge. So that worked out pretty well for me. The other thing is I used a lot of shops will use what they call a peel board. So they'll get it close, they'll make their marks, or sometimes they'll make their cuts. If they got to finish any cuts, they'll put it on another piece of glass and cut it out there. And that really helps because you can take the film off and apply it to something else and then do your cuts, and you don't have to worry about it laying around or getting, collecting dirt or anything like that. So what I used was the old mirror from my bathroom remodel. I still had it, I hadn't thrown it out yet, and that worked out almost perfect for this project. So that's something I would suggest as well. And one of the biggest things is making sure your work area is clean, because there is an adhesive side to this film once you pull the release liner off, and it seems like a magnet for dust and dirt. So you want to make sure you clean the window thoroughly. You want to make sure that your work area is clean. Try to be free of dust as much as possible. it'll just certainly help out. It seemed no matter what I did, I seem to get a little bit of dirt here and there in between the glass and the film itself, no matter what. But it's very unnoticeable, and I was able to kind of work around it in most cases. So the other thing is, everybody suggests using stainless razor blades when you're working with glass, and the reason there is because stainless is softer than carbon steel and it's less likely to scratch your glass. So that's a good idea with scrapers and things like that, or if you're going to be cutting, if you're going to be using the cutting method on the outside, you'll definitely want to use a stainless razor. However, I found it a lot easier to use a carbon steel when I was cutting the top edge, just because carbon steel is sharper and it just seemed to be a lot easier to cut. So I would recommend having both for that case. However, you really don't want to use a carbon blade if you're cutting directly on glass, because it can and will scratch the glass. So that's really about it, guys. If I'm able to do it, you guys are able to do it. It's really not that hard. You just got to kind of take your time. I would recommend, if you can practice on a piece of glass first, once or twice, kind of get the hang of it and what you're doing. There's plenty of videos out there guys make that are very helpful to kind of learn how to do it. And they go over their tips and tricks, which again, I'm really not going to get into in this video. And they certainly do help. As far as cost goes, the quote I had to have just the two side windows and back window done on this was $170 locally. And with the film that I bought, the 30 inches by 25 feet and the little tool kit, I had about $80 invested. And I was able to do the two side windows and back window on my Ranger here, and also the two side windows on my truck. And I still have some film left over for probably one more set of side windows on a vehicle. So again, if I paid $180 for the Ranger for the two sides in the back, probably have been about $100 for two side windows on a truck. So it's about $280, and I had $80 invested, and a couple hours of time, which I would have probably had driving to the shop that was going to do it, and then waiting as well. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.